having it up. Second. Yeah, I think that they were unable to call in. Okay. I will also be sending this to Nico Vangelin to make sure, Vangelli, to make sure that it gets in as a public comment. So this is written testimony on behalf of the Shrewsbury Street Neighborhood Association. And I quote, "From my point of view, the Shotspotter company has a good track record in helping to improve the safety of our city. Their gunshot detection system has been used for more than 6 years and has made Worcester police aware of shootings that were not called in and get them to the scene much faster than waiting for a call. Now the company's come out with this new type of tool that I think can help in another way. I can't say I'm an expert on it, but Connect seems different from other predictive products that get such negative press. I think it can give our police the intelligence needed to know where to patrol and when to prevent crimes. I like how they have rather light activities that they recommend officers engage in, such as simply driving through the area, parking, maybe getting out of the car and walking down the street to see how things are doing in the community. I can't believe the people who've spoken out at a prior meeting are representative of the majority of our residents. They seem to have an agenda to defund the police. I'm all for police reform, but I want the police to protect us, not only to respond to crimes quickly, but also to prevent crimes by letting the bad guys know that they're on patrol. To use the latest tools to protect us makes sense because we want crime to go down. I don't see why we shouldn't try this. Frankly, it would be a lot better than whatever the police use now. Maybe we can be the city that uses this and experiences a reduction in crime and less police saturation. I say we give it a try for a year and then have our police report back on what happened and hear from the community about what they think. Wouldn't a reasonable person take this approach rather than categorically oppose because of mistakes of prior companies? Gary Vecchio, President, Shrewsbury Street Neighborhood Association, end quote. So now, Nico, let's go to the first caller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we do have over 70 call-in users between devices and phone lines. My recommendation, if the chair permits, so we call first on the call-in users, which is a little easier to identify, and then we'll move on to folks with electronic devices, because we do have the names of the folks on electronic devices. Are you comfortable with that, Madam Chair?
Yes, and again, please try to keep it to 2 minutes or less. Thank you.
So anyone on the phone line, if you can please state your name.
Hi.
And city of residence. I'm sorry, can you repeat your name?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, my name is Emma Narkowitz, and I'm a resident of the city of Worcester. Can you hear me?
Yes, Emma, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Then starting now, I just want to say that I'm opposed to the Shotspotter program. I found it convenient that it wasn't mentioned until after the presentation that this is an early adapter program. It's not something that's been demonstrated consistently and has evidence behind it. To that point, they're even offering us a discount to try it. And I don't know a ton about policing and budgeting, but I do know that if I see something on sale, maybe it's to try to sell it to us, or maybe it's because the product is defective or unproven. I just think the fact that they're willing to give this to us for a discounted rate kind of indicates the quality and lack of proved evidence behind this. I have a question for Chief Sergeant, if that's permissible, about the use of this software.
You can ask the chief a question, and then
yeah. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. And then I don't know if I have to do this. I'll just ask the question. I don't know the procedure.
Thank you.
But mentioned in the presentation repeatedly is that there's this transparency aspect, that the data can be shared with the community. I would just like to ask, what about current transparency with police misconduct records, with hate crimes? Should give citizens of Worcester the confidence that if given this tool, they will use it in a way that's transparent based on the current lack of transparency.
Thank you very much. Chief, would you like to respond?
I believe that was answered by the experts and also by Deputy Chief Saucia. This is a tool, and it's a crime analysis tool. It's just it assists us in putting our police officers in an area proactively prior to things happening, instead of saturating an area, which could be misconstrued as targeting an area. And that's something that we're trying to get away from. We're just trying to go exactly where the crime is. Where the crime is, not where people are, but where we're seeing the crime. And this analysis will assist us in putting those resources in the areas ahead of time to prevent crime.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Nico,
Can I
want to go to the
actually
next,
specify
next
the
person?
question? That wasn't
no,
my
I'm sorry.
question.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, Worcester Police has consistently been obstructionist and...
Nico, let's go to the next person because it's 2 minutes, so let's go.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've now unmuted 2 more call-in users. If you can please state your name and city of residence.
Bob Michelle.
I'm sorry.
Bob Michelle.
Bob Michelle.
Elm Park. Bob Michelle, Worcester Park, Elm Park, Worcester. A couple of comments. The chief has said that trust based on partnership with the community is a paramount thing in reducing crime. And I was surprised to hear that it seemed to be news to everybody, that all of the communities that would be most impacted by it, and Black Lives Matter, the NAACP, wasn't on their list of people that they would want to involve in the installation of this, which does definitely affect those people more. And if trust is paramount, that doesn't really help the situation any. The other point is that the cost of effectiveness of that shot product is debatable, and it's been highly varied in communities, and some have pulled it out because it just hasn't borne out in terms of the statistics. And I'm not sure what statistics that Worcester has. I did see that 2 reports over the last year claimed that that shot utility made for the arrest. But how many actually happened is a question. Where is the data on the actual effectiveness of the stuff? Also, how many false alerts are and most of them are going to be false alerts. So the specificity about how this product works and the impact on the police relationship with the community is all very vague and imprecise. And so I do hope that, and we'll help to see that communities, groups like Black Families Together and NAACP are part of the continuing conversation about this product. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bob. Nico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've unmuted 2 more calling users. If you could please state your name and city of residence.
Father Jonathan Sylvanskis, City of Worcester.
Go ahead.
Could you hear me?
Go ahead, Father.
Okay. First and foremost, I just want to thank all the councilors for the support that they showed in having and seeing the need and the importance of the Shotspotter, especially in the Lincoln Street area. It shows that you have a great care for the whole city. So I thank you to all the councilors for the support from last week there. And, having a parish in a very diverse community, I do agree it's great to have and continually build those police relations. And we have to see the way in which we could do that in a way, in a very helpful manner as well. And I've seen the past few years since I've been here on Lincoln Street, the relations growing in a sense as a result of positive police presence in regards to the community policing, especially this past summer, seeing the officers walk the beat as you will. Coming into the area, coming into the community, coming into the gym, and even just shooting hoops with the kids, going into the local businesses. It's all very positive things. And so, if this is going to be a program that is going to allow that to happen more consistently, and to say, you know what, it's good to have this positive presence right here. I think it's something that the city should certainly look towards with the sense of, hope, a great sense of hope. Obviously, as a pilot program, there's going to be, I would imagine, issues here and there. But But, it's a pilot program, and so I think it'd be great, though, for us in our community as a city as a whole to say, okay, how is this going to benefit us? And can we have the dialogues that are truly important as well that Councilor Rivera brought up? Because I think it's very important that the different communities and the different groups do come together to be able to voice their concerns. And so I thank you for that. And I would certainly be open to, bringing that to the community here as well that I minister to and, sort of have the ear of as well, because I think they would really want their voices heard as well in the midst of all of this. But I do see it as a positive because I think at the end of the day, people don't want to live in fear, and we could be fearful of so many things. And, I know a lot of the teens walk around in fear just because of the nature of what's going on in the world today. So we have to alleviate those fears. And I think if this is a program that can assist in doing that as it builds community relations, it is something worthwhile to look at. And so I thank, again, all the councilors for the support of the Shotspotter for this area, which is absolutely necessary. But at the end of the day, I think it's important as a citywide program to look to see how this actually would have a great benefit and positive impact on quality of life issues that should not be ignored.
Thank you, Father. I appreciate your comments. We need to move on because you've gone over 2 minutes, so we're trying to give everybody a spot. I know. Thank you. Nico, next person.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've unmuted 2 more calling users. If you can please state your name and city of residence. Okay, hearing none. Madam Chair, I'm going to move on to unmuting 2 more calling users. If you can please state your name and city of residence.
Hi, my name is Kathleen Roy, and I reside in the Main South area of Worcester. First of all, I've listened wholeheartedly to all this, and I'm trying to make it brief. I did some research on my own about the ShotSpotter Connect program. What I learned, along with the presentation that was just given, further solidifies, I feel, is strongly needed in this city. I understand some people's fears, and I also think they should do some research on the program, but I think it will truly benefit in the communication between Worcester citizens and with the police. And I also feel it'll be good to work with the neighborhood watch committees by using this program. I do understand some people have fears that it could lead to racial profiling and detrimental, but I actually think this will do the opposite. And we all must work together, and I strongly, strongly, please, I'm begging you, please vote to add the ShotSpotter Connect program to our already valued Worcester Police Department's repertoire. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Go ahead, Nico.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've muted 2 more calling users. If you can please state your name and city of residence. Okay, hearing none, I'll mute 2 more calling users. Can you please state your name and city of residence?
Hello, Christine Toomey from Worcester.
I'm sorry, can you repeat your name and city of residence?
Worcester, Massachusetts.
Can you repeat your name and city of residence one more time?
Jimmy Kalidropoulos, Worcester, Massachusetts.
Thank you, Jimmy. We can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've been listening to the presentation, and I want to call in support of giving the Worcester Police what they need for added tools to continue to police the city of Worcester. I don't think they've given us any reason not to trust them. Chief Sergeant, I think he's done an excellent job with the force, and I think that, there's been a small mistake made where we've dragged national politics, where there's certainly problems all over the country, into our little city, and really we just need to continue to trust them and to have an open dialogue with them and to do everything we can to keep Worcester going in the right direction. That's all.
Thank you, Jimmy. Nico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to unmute 2 more calling users. If you can please state your name and city of residence if you're on the phone.
Christine Toomey, City of Worcester.
Thank you, Christine. You may go ahead.
Hello, everybody. I don't understand the support of this program, and I don't understand the continued support of a presentation that was not objective, based on any public health research, or based on actual safety by any stretch of the imagination. I really caution City Council to not move forward with this. This is so insensitive to be doing to the community again. I can't stress enough that this is going to hurt people. It's hurting people so much right now, and I have panic attacks if I see a cop. I don't feel safe around any cop, certainly not any cop in Worcester. Please do not make it so that they are just going to places and catching people who do not have the same opportunities or resources that anyone who is employed and doesn't experience homelessness or harassment from cops. It's very obvious that crime is based on a lack of opportunity and a lack of resources for people. And so people in this community need those resources, not this technology that I don't trust, just like I don't trust City Council, just like I don't trust WPD. Please do not keep making decisions that increase mistrust. I also would like to join whatever neighborhood committee I may have. I'm on Ingleside Ave in between Grafton and Hamilton Street. I would like to know where my community's neighborhood meetings are and how to participate in them. Thank you.
Thank you. And to answer that, on the City of Worcester website, under public meetings, all of the neighborhood organization meetings are posted under public meetings. And also that's listed, I believe, also on the City of the City Police website as well, under community policing. But there definitely is a list for public meetings on the city website. Nico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to unmute two more calling users. If you can please state your name and city of residence.
Yes, this is Lorraine Laurie. Can you hear me?
Hi, Lorraine.
Hi. Okay, I'm Lorraine Laurie, and I've been the coordinator of the Green Island Crime Watch for over 20 years and involved in the Union Hill, Providence Street area since the 1990s. And I support Shotspotter. We've had a couple of incidents, one in the Union Hill area and one down in Green Island recently. And it's hard for people to tell the difference between gunshots or fireworks, and sometimes they seem to go together. But I have never seen up in the Union Hill area so many police come so fast. And I support Shotspotter. I know the residents in both areas appreciate the fast response from the police, and a lot of times it is the gunshots, not the fireworks. And Shotspotter is very, very good, because what residents, and anybody who lives in the neighborhood is a resident. You don't put them in categories or anything. And residents in a Worcester neighborhood especially want peace, quiet, safety, and cleanliness. And that's what Shotspotter is part of the team for that. So Shotspotter has proved successful in Union Hill and Green Island. And in regards to the community policing, we are very happy and grateful to have Officer Sean Lovely as our neighborhood response team crime watch officer. He keeps us aware of what's going on with Shotspotter and other issues in our neighborhood, and he is there for us, and he's a perfect example of community policing. So we definitely support Shotspotter because we've seen it in action, and it's very, very helpful to our neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorraine. Go ahead, Nico.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to unmute a few more calling users. If you can please state your name and city of residence.
Eva Johnson.
Eva Johnson, go ahead.
Eva. Yes. Hi.
Hey, Eva.
Hi. I'm Eva. I'm a wastewater engineer and construction manager. I am calling. Firstly, I'd like to express deep grief that we are spending our contingency funds in limited energy during these times. By that I mean a pandemic and cold winter months on WPD funding, when our hungry and homeless neighbors and neighbors lacking access to healthcare are aching for our attention. As we've heard on this call, these are the drivers of public safety, not the Band-Aid solution we're talking about today. WPD has remarked that they guarantee Shotspotter is not a racist program, or as we heard tonight, quote, where the crime is, not where the people are. If you can show to the public that the following two things are true, then the public will believe you. One, where communities of color reside has nothing to do with racial divide, meaning demographics show no pattern throughout the geography of Worcester. This is when we're talking about the expansion of the Shotspotter program. Two, the 5 years of historical WPD action, that's the data we're talking about, the data that is fed into the program for predictive time, location, dispatching, that not one of those actions was made based on racist and or biased beliefs. There is a deep, deep wound here. We are grieving and feel disrespected as citizens that are asked the WPD for defunding have been ignored. You will not solve the wound this way. You are showing us tonight that you are not interested in investing our contingency funds in holistic healing, but rather in Band-Aid solutions. I am particularly concerned that the presenters and many of the decision makers, including the chair in this situation, are white, and that some of those who are white are claiming to understand the impact of these programs. History tells us why white people, especially white people in positions of decision-making and power, would feel comfortable and more safe with this program. So unfortunately, I'm not surprised. Please do not believe me, a white woman who does not feel the impacts of this. Please have intentional, meaningful discussions with communities already having these conversations and disproportionately impacted by these decisions. Thank you, Councilor Rivera, for continuing to mention at least 3 groups here tonight and during City Council. When I say discussion, I do not mean allowing those concerned to call in at the end and speak into a black hole or cutting them off, or maybe they'll just end up on minutes with no response or circular conversation. I mean a respectful back and forth, centering, highlighting centering the voices of people whose lives are on the line. Thank you.
Thank you, Eva. Rico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've unmuted the remaining of the calling users. If you can please state your name and city of residence.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Hello.
I heard hello.
You there?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. What is your name and city of residence?
Yeah, Wayne, Worcester, a longtime resident. Hey, we hired a police chief to do a job, and I think it's his professional recommendation that we have this particular program. Let them in charge decide. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Wayne. Rico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we've unmuted all the calling users, and there are no other calling users on the line. We're going to move to the electronic devices.
Okay.
We'll start with Abe Kaufman. Mr. Kaufman, I'm going to unmute you now. If you can please state your name and city of residence.
Hello, I'm Abe Kaufman, and I live in Worcester. I go to WPI. I'm currently a student there. So I just wanted to highlight something I'm not in support of this, and I think that the idea that this technology can reduce crime or solve crime by protecting people is false. And I'm just going to state 2 statistics. One, right now, the poverty rate in Worcester is at 21.1%, right? So that is really, really high. And spending money on some sort of technology that is going to be your silver bullet is sort of a childish idea. And if we want to reduce crime, we know that household poverty is directly related to crime. right? This is like heavily backed by all the sciences. So reduce poverty is the answer. And if you want to reduce crime, you can reduce poverty. But I don't really think you guys want to reduce poverty or reduce crime. I think you guys just want like your silver bullet. So again, please don't vote for this. This is a horrible thing. It's going to hurt a lot of people. It's going to increase the distrust the citizens have and the residents have for the administration, and we already don't trust you. People are scared of the cops. People are, that's just not a good thing. People are scared of their city administration. That's not a good thing. So if you really want to help people, and if you're really in this for the moral reason, the good reason, right, make the moral decision, make the good decision, vote no, and actually get out into the community and start talking to real people, not to the small minority of people that are wealthy and free enough to show up to these things, right? I mean, the majority of people are too tired to show up to these things. They work too long hours. They have to take care of their kids, right? This group that is speaking here is a minority of people who are politically active, right? So you're not talking, all of these people who are not talking are just, a very small percentage of the people. So get out there and actually talk to the community, right? Host real community discussions where you can have real dialogue, right? Don't just sit up on your high seats and listen to, an ex-police officer tell you how if you give him a bunch of money, he's going to solve all your problems, all right? Thank you for your time. Vote no, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Abe. Nico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next this next user I can identify is Alice Dillon. I've unmuted Alice now. Alice, can you go ahead?
Hi, can you hear me?
Alice? Yes.
All right. My name is Alice Dillon, and I live, work, and vote in Worcester. I'm calling in opposition to Agenda Item 3A regarding the WPD's request to add funding to upgrade the Shotspotter program to Shotspotter Connect. I am extremely concerned about the Shotspotter representative's comment that the Worcester Police Department is so wonderful. That's not an exact quote. Since it seems they just don't know the department, just like the council, the city council doesn't fully understand this program. I really don't want officers from the department that physically slapped a restrained person experiencing a mental health crisis to just be walking around in my community. I don't want officers who refuse to wear masks during this pandemic in my community. Officers responded to reports of gunshots just down the street from me in recent months, and they weren't wearing masks. Anybody who was wearing a mask was pulling it down when they talked, and they let someone walk their dog straight through their active crime scene. Why are we continuing to give these officers even more toys when they can't even put a piece of fabric over their face? Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. Nico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next speaker I can identify is Andrew M. Andrew, I'm going to unmute you now.
Hi, my name's Andy. I'm a Worcester resident. I also just want to express my opposition to this predictive policing program. I just want to start by saying, that comment at the beginning from the Shrewsbury Street Crime Watch person saying that basically anyone who is opposed to this technology has an agenda seems very dismissive of any sort of community concerns. I think if reducing crime is the ultimate goal, which was mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, I think this goal would be better achieved by spending this money elsewhere on community services that have actually been proven to reduce crime, like youth groups, housing, shelter, instead of this, like someone said earlier, Band-Aid solution of trying to figure out, where gunshots are coming from more quickly. As someone who works in the medical field, I know you mentioned the Hippocratic Oath earlier. As a nurse, if you have somebody, just to compare it to something that people can relate to, if you have diabetes, it's a great thing to, come up with technology that detects it sooner. But if you really want to get rid of the epidemic and the illness of diabetes, you eat right and you exercise. You have to get to the source of why people are committing crimes not just trying to get to them more quickly. So I just feel this money would be much better spent reinvesting in our community as opposed to giving more money to an already bloated and militaristic Worcester Police Department that has proven that they are interested in silencing protesters, and they are interested in, doing what the council wants to implement because, they're buddies with the police officers and not actually listening to the community and addressing the needs. And that's all I wanted to say. I'm a member of the Independent Socialist Group, and that is my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Nico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next speaker I can identify is Ariel Sharma. I've unmuted Ariel now.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Attorney Ariel Sharma. I work with Lawyers for Civil Rights, where I engage in litigation to protect civil rights of communities of color. I did also submit written testimony, which I'm hoping that the members of the council did receive today. But just briefly, I wanted to mention a few things that we've talked about today. Essentially, the issue that Lawyers for Civil Rights has with this is the age-old concern that if you put bad data in, you're going to get bad data back out. I understand that there has been some look at whether or not that is what's happening, but it seems that there is still an undercurrent of race-based policing that's going to go into this. It's been mentioned that there's been at least 5 years worth of crime data that'll go in. And even if we separate that out, there is still, at least according to the website, although it wasn't mentioned today by the presenters, but according to the Shotspotter website, they indicate that the Shotspotter Flex program, which is currently in place, is something that still goes into both the learning of the algorithm and in the deciding whether or not the predictions were accurate, as well as in deciding where originally to send people out to. The concern that I have with that, and in the written testimony I did cite to the best maps that I could find, is that from what I can see, the Shotspotter Flex program currently only is in neighborhoods that are disproportionately minority. What that means to me is that if we take the chief's written submission at face value, that I believe he said that up to 80% of shots that they detect go unreported otherwise. So what I hear from that is that there is an over-reporting of crime in minority neighborhoods, even just based on the ShotSpotter technology, as compared to non-minority neighborhoods where ShotSpotter does not exist. Additionally, I just wanted to point out that there was a citation to the NYU policing project. I did a quick Google search while we were waiting here, and it does seem that that audit was specifically about privacy. It was not about equity, and it was not about transparency. So I do want to point that out to the council, that although they may have taken in the recommendations that were made there, I'm not sure that it addresses the issues that I hear coming up today. Additionally, there's been a lot of talk that this is about community engagement, not necessarily about arrest. And I just want to push back on that a little bit, because what I'm not hearing is that if someone does go out, or if an officer is deployed somewhere, that they are going to be ordered not to arrest people on misdemeanors, even if that information doesn't go into the program, that it is very well might still be coming out. I don't hear that we're ordering officers who are deployed by this to not be doing surveillance and only to be doing, door-to-door talking or whatever it is that they claim that they will be doing. So when we say that we're
3 minutes now, we're trying to keep it at 2, so could you
I'm just about done. So the only other thing that I will mention is that it's still unclear to me how much this is weighted. We've not heard any information about whether or not there are racial disparities in other communities, and I just fail to see what is the rush here, where we have a real-time crime data center which supposedly identifies patterns and stops emerging crime in and of itself. I would suggest that I would also add that I've reviewed the definition of the contingency funds in the original budget. It's unclear to me that this would be an appropriate use of those funds just based on that definition, considering that there doesn't appear to be any emergency here.
Thank you very much. Nico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to move to the next call-in user, Benjamin, I think it's Disraeli. Benjamin, I've muted you now. Can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Hi, my name is Benny Charlet. I live in District 4 in Worcester. Sorry, what did you say there?
Go ahead, Benjamin.
Thank you. So, Mr. Phillip assures us in his sales pitch that we can hold ShotSpotter accountable. As Ms. Dopkowitz said, and councilors, you are well aware, that the Telegram has had to sue the city multiple times to access any policing data, and Worcester is unique among New England cities for the difficulty its citizens face in accessing information on how their police act on their community. I have no faith in the WPD's supposed interest in transparency and severely doubt there can be accountability between the WPD and ShotSpotter when there is no accountability between Worcester and its police. I can't stress how much this will hurt our friends and neighbors. It's bad enough that this private company's process and data use is entirely proprietary and has no care for transparency or public accountability through the police, and it will be impossible to assess its impact among so many other variables, like the other communities that ShotSpotter Connect has been implemented in. These results in transparency are the absolute least that must be done to engage with this option responsibly, and ShotSpotter is immovably against them. There are serious financial concerns here. After the first year of this product, once the $80,000 square mile is no longer free with the Connect subscription, it will cost our city over $230,000 every year to run this program. I've submitted this written testimony, and as well in my written testimony in the city council meeting at large, I told you a few things that we can do with this money. We can more than double the support the city gets for homeless students as the difficulties compound in a pandemic winter, or more than triple youth services or elder affairs program budgets. We could match and exceed the grant request for vaccine education funding, or with 1 year of this service, we could fund 8 years of sustaining Housing First Solutions pilot program. This artificial intelligence policing will not prevent crime or deter the unpredictable and unreported crimes that, according to ShotSpotter, make up the vast majority of crime here and elsewhere. What will prevent crime is community funding for outreach and for solving the conditions that create crimes of poverty before they can happen. No new money for police, and certainly not for this insane program. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Benjamin, next. Nico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next speaker I can identify is Brian O'Donnell. Brian, I'm going to unmute you now. Brian, can you hear us? Okay, not hearing Brian O'Donnell. We're going to move on to the next speaker. I have Carrie Saldo is on the line. Carrie, you may speak if you wish to testify. Okay. Not hearing Carrie. We're going to move on to the next speaker. We have a Casey Dugan. Casey, I'm unmuted you now.
Yes, Casey Duggan, resident of Worcester. I'd like to echo a lot of what some other Colin users have said about the efficacy of the expanded program, particularly the predictive technology. I would like to just urge caution again, as this is a pilot program. I heard a lot in the previous city council meeting that, we would be greatly benefiting by learning from this pilot program. I think that's the other way around. That's the whole point of a pilot, is that somebody else is learning about their program. So efficacy is very questionable. I urge extreme caution and to not spend contingency funds on expanding this program. I think the acoustic technology that may be able to report, gunshots, that's one thing. This predictive technology is a whole other gambit, and I do not support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Nico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next speaker I can identify is Charlotte Scott. I've unmuted Charlotte now. Charlotte, are you able to hear us?
Not you, right?
Okay, now being able to identify Charlotte, we're going to move on to Danielle Spitz. Danielle, I've unmuted you now if you'd like to testify. Okay, now hearing Danielle Spitz, we're going to move on to the next speaker. We have a Danny Newman. Danny, I've unmuted you now if you'd like to testify. Okay. Now hearing Danny, we're going to move on to the next calling user. I have a David Slatkin.
Hello, how's it going? David Slatkin, Worcester, Mass. I live in Columbus Park.
Hello, David.
Hello. Thank you to the chair and this committee for the opportunity to speak on this subject and with my community and representatives. I'd like to use my 2 minutes to speak against the proposal for the city of Worcester to purchase the Shotspotter Connect for the Worcester Police Department out of the city manager's contingency fund. First and foremost, we should not be spending our contingency funds to increase the Worcester Police Department budget, especially in the midst of a pandemic. If Shotspotter Connect was an essential product, I'm sure the Worcester Police Department could find the funds to pay for it in their $52,766,614 budget for 2001, which was already increased by over $250,000 year over year. This figure represents 32% of our city's entire $163 million budget for 2001. I'm a white Jewish man that grew up on the west side of Worcester and in the suburb of Paxton. I moved back to Worcester in 2003 to start a PhD in clinical psychology at Clark University to research mindfulness-based interventions for veterans with PTSD. Unfortunately, I was unable to complete my studies and research due to PTSD I experienced as a result of police brutality when I was mistakenly identified as the Boston Marathon bomber by Virginia State Police 4 months earlier. I don't know if any Worcester City councilors live with PTSD, but it's incredibly painful and very expensive. I was fortunate to have family and financial support to seek mental health care, which was necessary since it was several years before I was well enough to work. This Shotspotter Connect program is a pilot program, which is a fancy way of saying that they have some kinks to work out on our dime and with our residents. The folks most likely to be adversely affected by this program are Black and brown members of our community. While I'd like to think that policing can be preventative, in my experience, an increased policing presence is only going to lead to increased crime. I believe that the individuals who are going to be affected most are Black and brown residents in our city. And given my experiences with PTSD at the hands of, frankly, very inadequate and poor policing, I don't think that this is a very good use of our funding, and would very much like to protect any other individuals from having to experience any of the trauma or pain that I have as a result of poor policing. So I hope that, counselors will remember my story and hopefully vote against giving more funding to the Shotspotter Connect program or in approving it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. Nico, next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next speaker is David Webb. I've unmuted David. If you can please start your testimony, David.
Hello, my name is David Webb. I live in Worcester. Can you hear me?
Barely.
Okay, 1 second. Hi, my name is David Webb. I've lived in Worcester my entire life. I'm an employer, a landlord, and a voter. I think the city could possibly achieve better results by increasing social or community services to the places in the city that existing police data show could use the support. Since these options would cost a fraction of Shotspotter Connect, the committee would be remiss not to consider them. I don't know about any of you, but I run a computer repair shop, and I can tell you that technology doesn't always work right. I'm assuming that no one on the committee has actually looked at the parameters of this algorithm, because for-profit companies don't usually share their process, and if you don't know how this program will affect the city, you shouldn't be considering it. However, what the people who have analyzed the result of the system determined is that it results in targeting neighborhoods geographically. And since the city racial demographics are also distributed geographically, the result would perpetuate existing problems. The chief's non-answer to the first caller's question demonstrates that her question was very legitimate. The quote-unquote expert earlier said how the information would be available to be viewed by a supervisor and offered quarterly to this committee, but it sounds like there's no reason to feel this information would allow for any more accountability than the current police misconduct records, body cam footage, and everything else the WPD has fought tooth and nail to hide from the public eye. Additionally, now they can just blame the computer. Everyone we're hearing from is saying that Shotspotter works fine. We're not hearing a need for improvement. We've heard 3 people so far say they love Shotspotter. No one's saying it's not working well enough. I don't know. Maybe there are, but I haven't heard them on this call. There's a long list of reasons not to fund this, a lot longer list of alternatives that this funding could go to that would resolve the problem this is claimed to but not proven to solve. Given the long list of existing competency and integrity problems that have remained unaddressed, approving a poorly reviewed, entirely unproven, extremely discounted system to automate a process that needs a thorough review sounds simply irresponsible with a regular budget, never mind these funds in the middle of this pandemic. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Nico, next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next speaker is Deborah Bolt.
Hi, can you hear me?
Go ahead, Deborah.
Hi, my name is Deb Bowles, and I'm from Worcester, Mass. I'm a member of the Green Hill Neighborhood Association, who's been working for many years to improve the safety and livability of our community. We work closely with the City of Worcester Police Department and Inspectional Services, and as well as other community stakeholders, to share our concerns about the quality of life issues and to build community within our neighborhood. As a homeowner,
Deb, you cut out.
King Street neighborhood for over 40 years, I'm in favor of the Shotspotter program. And the that hopefully will enter my community. We live here. We know what's happening in our community. We want the increased crime addressed. Data should always drive our actions. So let's see where the data takes us. We trust and hope that the data will be used in a socially just manner. And believe me when I say we'll be watching to make sure that that happens. Our neighborhood is home to many vulnerable populations who deserve the attention and improved community resources that we hope that this program will give us. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb.
Yep.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next speaker is Elaine Baskin. I've unmuted Elaine. Elaine, can you hear us?
No. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, great. Thank you. I just wanted to say I know very little about this program. What I know is what I've heard this evening. Listening to the two representatives of the company, I thought there was a lot of emotional, charged language that did not convince me that this is a tried and true program. Unfortunately, I only heard about it fairly recently, and so I have not had a chance to do any research to find the statistics of the success of the program. My feeling is that not enough is known about it, that it may be a terrific program, but I think it needs a little bit more trial somewhere else. I think Worcester is an excellent community. I've lived here for 40 years. And I would like to see good things happening to the city. I don't think this program is going to benefit us in any way. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. Nico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next speaker I can identify is Eliana Stanislavski.
Is that me?
Go ahead, Eliana.
Okay, thank you so much. Hi, my name is Eliana Stanislavski. I live, work, and vote in Worcester, calling about Shotspotter, specifically upgrading to Shotspotter Connect. A lot of people have made a lot of really great points. I just want to highlight a couple of things because I've been doing a lot of research on this predictive policing program, specifically not talking about the acoustic gunshot detection system since that's already been dealt with. The first thing I want to talk about is I want to note about an inaccuracy from the presentation earlier. Ms. Etheridge noted that after ShotSpotter's partnership with Wilmington, crime decreased, but actually in 2020, homicides in Wilmington have increased by 120%. So that's one inaccuracy. Just moving on about similar predictive policing in other cities, I know ShotSpotter has claimed that they are not a traditional predictive policing program, but based on that presentation, in my view, that is yet to be seen. So just outlining how this is going in other cities. In June of 2020, Pittsburgh suspended their algorithm policing program that predicted hotspots for criminal activity and instead focused any new data-driven policing programs on deploying social services. In January of 2020, the Chicago Police Department disclosed that they ended their 8-year data gathering and predictive policing effort, acknowledging that it hadn't reduced violence and was ultimately ineffective. In April of 2020, the Los Angeles Police Department announced they were ending their predictive policing program, which was not only ineffective, but directly led to heavily policing minority neighborhoods. In 2018, Hagerstown, Maryland canceled its location-based predictive policing program due to its high cost, and they did not have data demonstrating its effectiveness. And additionally, a study commissioned by the department found that crimes reported at a police station skewed the data and predictions. I know this presentation said, oh, the data will come from the community. Well, that data came from the community, and it was skewing their findings. Palo Alto canceled their 3-year program utilizing predictive policing technology in July of 2019. Their spokesperson told the LA Times, "We didn't get any value out of it. It didn't help us solve crimes." Santa Cruz and Oakland have banned predictive policing. Annapolis, Maryland voted it down because there was no evidence supporting it. Hartford, New York, Chicago, and New Orleans are currently embroiled in lawsuits because their predictive policing programs have been violating human rights. At a certain point, we need to ask ourselves, are we so ignorant in this city that we are willing to ignore these past failures of all these other cities and go forward with the program
Elaine, you wrote
despite
for 2
all
minutes.
these evidence?
Thank you. Nico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next speaker I can identify is Emily Rittenhouse.
Hi, my name is Dr. Emily Rittenhouse. I'm a resident homeowner voter in Worcester. I do not support funding of this new predictive Shotspotter program. In general, I don't support increasing the budget of the Worcester Police Department when the Worcester Public Schools and public health programs are extremely underfunded. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Doctor. Nico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next speaker I can identify is Gregory Jones.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Go ahead, Gregory.
All right, my name is Gregory Jones. I'm a resident of District 5, Worcester. I'm a teacher in the city, and I know a lot of family. In fact, I know a lot of families. My students are from low-income areas. They're from high-crime areas, and they're from majority Black and brown areas. They're from the places that ShotSpotter Connect is going to put extra police officers. I know it. We all know it. It's based on historical data. It's based on where there's been crime in the past. So that's where ShotSpotter Connect is going to put police officers. My students are going to be the ones that are ticketed when the police come to them looking for crime. They're going to be the ones, those tickets are going to turn into bench warrants really quickly. And then those bench warrants are going to turn into jail time. We're going to have systematic incarceration of Black and brown folks beyond what we already have. I know it sounds outrageous. I know it sounds crazy, but look at places that have done this in the past. New York City did this. The Shotspotter program was one of the first predictive policing programs of its kind, and it turned out to do exactly what I just described. All right. Predictive policing programs are based on data that has racial bias, and it's going to create more racially biased data. Okay? I think the city of Worcester can do better than this. We have this money. If we can spend it, let's spend it on social workers. Get me another school adjustment counselor at South High. We need another one. Our kids are doing horribly. Please, we need this money somewhere else. I didn't know we had it. We have all this extra money. Let's put it where it's needed. Thanks.
Thank you, Gregory. Nico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next speaker is Isabel Silo. Isabel, you're unmuted if you'd like to testify. Okay, not hearing Isabel. We're going to move to Jack Bonitis. Jack, I've unmuted you. Okay, not hearing from Jack. We're going to move on to Jacob now. I'm going to unmute Jacob now.
Hey, thanks for hosting this conversation. I'm Jacob. I went to Worcester State for 4 years, and I'm a public educator at a high school. And I want to say that I'm opposed to this system because this seems like a very, when all you have is a hammer, every problem is a nail type situation where the police are asking for tools to help prevent crime when we know that crime can be reduced, or crimes may not even be committed if what was a crime was just a mental health crisis or someone who needed help. We could be using this money to help our community of Worcester. Denver has this system where mental health checks and just general concern calls, they have like a psychiatrist or type person go out. That's something we could be doing instead of having cops. And I want to agree that I am concerned that this will be racially biased because I'm a data analyst. I'm working on a master's in social statistics, and geographic data is race data in America because we have a history of certain races living in certain portions of cities, and those people generally, if they're minorities, are poorer because that has been the history of this country. And so I think it's good to have an outreach with the community and start making them feel like they're involved, but I don't think this is the solution to crime, and I don't think it makes us safer. Charlotte themselves stopped using the Shotspotter because it wasn't effective at picking up shots and didn't really improve reaction time. We had another caller call in and say, hey, we called them, the cops showed up quick. Well, if the cops are showing up quick, why do we need this? For planning patrols, why do we need to plan patrols if we have someone doing that? I understand their resources are quote unquote limited, but they're 30% of our budget. We could be solving crime before it happens instead of looking for crime where it might happen. That's it, and I'm just generally opposed. Thank you very much. Also, I'm from ISG, Independent Socialist Group.
Thank you.
So the next speaker, Madam Chair, is Jeremy Shulkin. Unmuted, Jeremy.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Jeremy Shulkin. I live in Vernon Hill, and I wasn't going to call in until I actually saw the presentation from Shotspotter, and I did some Googling, and I really don't like being tricked or lied to. So I had some issues with it. Number one is this 80% figure that we keep recycling as 80% of gunshots go undetected. That's not actually true in Worcester. That is straight from ShotSpotter's marketing campaign. That's the national average. And so if the amount of gunshots being undetected in Worcester are the same as the national average at cities like Chicago, Boston, wherever, Los Angeles, whatever, then we have some larger problems to talk about, I think. The other issue I had, and I think one of the civil rights lawyers brought it up, was that they touted this NYU policing project thing as some arbiter of truth or showing that they're not biased, but that paper was only about privacy. It didn't have anything to do with any of the criticisms that callers are coming up with today. I also, I'm not quite sure what this program does that the police don't already do. Don't they already get data from callers and from crimes? And when someone says, oh, there have been X number of robberies in this neighborhood over the past 2 weeks, aren't the police already drawing up patrols to go into those areas to try and deter the crime? Which, again, another point is that that's not actually crime prevention. That just is shuffling the crime around, right? The criminals would see the police cars there and say, okay, well, we're going to go 2 blocks over and commit the crime now. So we're not addressing the root causes here. And to spend $150,000 on something that is already happening, it just seems like something that could be, I don't know, I'm a teacher in the Worcester Public Schools, and I just think of all the crime that could be prevented if that money were going to school programs for kids, or for helping parents deal with their kids, or for homeless outreach, or for shelters, or wherever. So I don't think the money is worth it, and I'm kind of offended at this company for coming in and lying to us. I know they want to make money, and I'm also wondering why wasn't a counterpoint brought into this meeting? Why are we only hearing from ShotSpotter and not from these community groups who have been having issues with it, who are actually going to be affected by this technology? So hopefully that'll be rectified. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, the next speaker I can identify is Julie Damster.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Judy Diamondstone. I'm a retired homeowner in Worcester. I have no prepared remarks today, but I will speak in opposition to predictive policing in general. I appreciate the research that has been done on this program, and I do sincerely hope that the counselors are not dismissive of comments that are in opposition of the program raise reasonable arguments. And I am also interested in how my counselors engage with the voices that are in support and in opposition. So I am observing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judy. Julie. Nico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next speaker is John P.
Hello, that's me.
Say your name and city of residence.
Hi, my name is John Powers. I'm a city resident of Worcester.
Go ahead, John.
Hi. So I had some prepared remarks, but over the course of seeing people call in and speak to you on the panel and how you reacted, I don't feel like I'm going to get through to you. I'm just kind of disillusioned. I thought that you guys were here to listen. That's really all I have to say. Never mind.
Thank you, John.
Madam Chair, the next speaker is John Rogers. John, I've unmuted you. Go ahead.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, John.
Yes, hello. Thank you for taking my call. My name is John Rogers. I live in Worcester, Southwest Co-op. In general, I am a supporter of the police. I am also in support of this program. I feel that any tool that can improve the relationship between the Worcester Police Department and all citizens of Worcester, not just the high income, but everybody, any tool that can improve the relationship between the citizens of Worcester and our police department is worth investing the money in. That's my comment, and I thank you for your time. Take care.
Thank you very much. Thanks, John. Nico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next speaker is Julia Knowles.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Julia.
Hi.
Can you hear you?
Hi, my name is Julia Knowles, and I'm from Worcester, Mass. I'm a public school teacher. I am opposed to the funding of ShotSpotter Connect. It is really frustrating to see Worcester city officials who seem to have their minds made up on certain issues and who choose to ignore the research and their constituents. This subcommittee should be focused. I'm hearing a little feedback, so. This subcommittee should be focused on reviewing research that is released by the ACLU and MIT, for example, rather than taking the word of the salespeople who will be making money off of a product. That is so new that they don't even have the necessary data to support its effectiveness. It claims to use unbiased data to make predictions. However, the use of historical crime data to predict future crime hotspots is infected with years of racial bias, no matter how objective this company is trying to be. In the presentation by ShotSpotter, they reference research done by an independent group. I ask that the councilors exercise caution in trusting the word of salespeople who are using research out of context for personal gain. I also think that a for-profit company should not be the only group to speak at this meeting. Do not use the contingency budget to fund an unnecessary and unverified program during a global pandemic. I hope you feel your responsibility as public servants to represent the interests and needs of the city and all of its communities and constituents. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. Nico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next speaker is Casey Panarelli.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, Casey, go ahead.
Hi, Casey.
Hi, my name is Casey Panarelli, and I'm a resident of Shrewsbury, but I work in Worcester at a mental health facility. I just want to say it's very clear the way you are all responding to people who are for this program and in opposition, and as people have said, people are taking note of that. Someone did say that we should let the people in charge just do their jobs, but one of my favorite quotes is a boss says go and a leader says let's go, and clearly the city is run by a bunch of bosses. But anyway, I'm calling in reference to agenda item 3A regarding the request to add to Worcester Police Department's funding for the ShotSpotter upgrade to use predictive policing technology. As most people in opposition to this increase in funding for this program have stated, the data and support is not there to trust and invest in this technology. This does not prevent crimes, and it will not benefit these communities, and it will only hurt them. Further, these kinds of programs fail to address the core driver of larger crimes, unaddressed needs within the communities. We have a tendency in this country to try and deal with the symptoms of our problems rather than addressing the issues directly, which is exactly what we're doing with this program. Instead of investing city funding into a new program that is still largely not understood, I implore the subcommittee to increase community safety by focusing on investing back into the community directly. Do not vote to implement this program, please. You are listening to people voice their opposition of it, and this is not just a couple people, this is a lot of people. So you're listening to your constituents now. I hope you listen. Thank you. I yield back.
Thank you, Casey. Nico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next speaker is Kevin Kasson. I've unmuted Kevin now.
Kevin Kasson. I really appreciated Steve Foskett's article this past weekend on the City Council rules. It really explained why following rules and process are important. And I've become really confused by exactly what process we're in right now with ShotSpotter. As was reported by Bill Shaner, the Public Safety Committee hasn't met for 6 months, and there's been a long list of topics waiting, and all of a sudden ShotSpotter is being rushed through by the Public Safety Committee to somehow address it quickly. So why aren't we following that process? I want to remind city councilors that ShotSpotter isn't something the city police department requested. It's something the company's selling us. So now that it's on the table, the police department wants to just grab it. It also wasn't in the city budget at all. So we're taking emergency money and somehow moving it over for something that wasn't even requested and was never discussed during the whole budget process. I'm very frustrated with the misinformation that police officers were distributing to crime watch groups over the past few days. I've seen some of the emails, and it's just frustrating that as taxpayers paying for misinformation campaign like that. It sounds like there were some emails that you received, Councilor Toomey, and I'm just kind of confused. So you read one that was supportive, but then it sounded like you received an email from an attorney, and then that wasn't shared at all. So I guess at some point, if you could share exactly what comments and testimony was submitted to you ahead of time and disclose everything, not just selectively. It also sounds like there was emails going back and forth between Councilors Colorio and Councilor Toomey over the past few days, and that's kind of concerning. I'd like to ask the chief if you would explain, one of the process points here was there's a request for police department to meet with Black Families Together, NAACP, Leon, and one other group, Worcester Interfaith. And I'd like to hear from the chief on why that hasn't happened yet and why you've prioritized organizing against this rather than speaking to the community if you're committed to community policing. And then the last question, just for you, Councilor Toomey, I think you want to clear this up. So it sounded like there was city councilors met online with some of the ShotSpotter folks over the past few days, even knowing all of the frustrations and concern in the community. And just so there's not any miscommunication, because I'm seeing stuff online already, if you could just state clearly, were you part of a meeting with ShotSpotter over the past few days, or have you been in communication with them?
Are you finished?
Yeah, I'll wait for my answer.
Okay, so I did participate in a meeting, as did several of my colleagues, an informational meeting presentation from ShotSpotter so that we understood what the program was about and were able to ask questions. And so I can tell you unequivocally that I also did not have any email communication with Councilor Colorio, who is a member of this committee. That would be a violation of the open meeting law, and I really resent the implication that I did. So that's all I have to say about that. Nico?
But you asked.
Nico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next speaker is Christine Waters. I'll mute Christine now. Christine, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm going to pass. I just want to say, I'm getting a lot of feedback.
Christine, can you, okay, Christine, I think it has to do with your electronic device. I'm going to try to unmute you one more time. If you can remove the electronic device, maybe from the TV. Christine, can you hear us? Okay, now we'll move to Laura Matthew. Laura, I've unmuted you if you'd like to continue.
Hi, thank you. My name is Laura Matthew, and I'm a resident of Worcester for more than a decade. I'm calling in reference to Agenda Item 3A regarding the WPD's request to add funding to upgrade the Shotspotter program to Shotspotter Connect, et cetera, just like everybody else who's been calling in right now. I want to urge the subcommittee to exercise extreme caution around this new technology and vote against funding its use in Worcester, since similar technologies have been empirically shown to result in increasingly disproportionate policing of historically over-policed communities. The predictions of any machine learning system are only as good as the data it's given. A number of researchers studying predictive policing have shown that any discrepancy between actual crime rates in the world and representation of crime rates and data will be reinforced and increased when police officers plan their patrol routes on the basis of machine learning predictions. Essentially, if a neighborhood is overrepresented in crime data, officers will spend extra time in that neighborhood at the system's recommendation. While in that neighborhood, officers are more likely to observe crime occurring there as opposed to crime occurring elsewhere. The observed crimes are then fed back into the predictive system, furthering increasing the overrepresentation of that neighborhood in the data the system uses to make predictions. A prior caller in support of this program noted that, this program is going to promote a better relationship between police and low-income communities. But I fail to see how being targeted and over-policed in this manner will actually result in this better relationship. It's like if you're micromanaged by your boss at work, do you have a better relationship with your boss if they're always following you around and they don't trust you? I don't think so. That's kind of what this is going to do. So I don't see how it's going to be a better relationship. But ultimately, predictive policing technology is still extremely new technology, and the long-term impacts of programs such as ShotSpotter Connect are not fully understood. Both of these kinds of programs fail to address the core driver of larger crimes, unaddressed needs within communities. Instead of investing city funding into a new program that is still largely not understood, I implore the subcommittee to increase community safety by focusing on investing back into the community directly. Please do not vote to implement ShotSpotter Connect here in Worcester. Please, I'm starting to believe that the bias and corruption runs deep in this city. Prove me wrong. I yield my time.
Thank you, Laura. Nico, next
Madam
person.
Chair, the next speaker is Lenny Ciofredo. Lenny, if I muted you, go ahead.
Thank you,
Hi,
Nico.
Lenny.
Madam Chair. Lenny Ciofredo. I'm the chairperson of the Brown Square Neighborhood Crime Watch. We're one of the oldest continually active crime watches in the city, going on 30 years, through 3 police chiefs. And I'm proud to say that each police chief in succession has been more and more supportive of their past of community policing. It's made a huge impact in our neighborhoods. There are many folks who live and work in our city who can attest to that. Is there problems? Certainly there's problems. We're here tonight to talk about a technology, a new technology, like the original ShotSpotter was, 7 or 8 years ago. I'm proud to say we were one of the first groups to come out in support of this technology. And one of the only good things that came out of an expansion of the freight yard at CSX was that the advisory committee got to help support the original Spot Shotter by putting up some money to help get it off the ground. And I think even the folks who are opposed to this new technology here tonight realize that, hey, the original ShotSpotter works. Nobody seems to have a problem with it. And at the time, it was a new technology. So if Chief Sergeant's telling us, hey, look, this is the next step, and this is going to be a good thing, I'm going to take his word for it. We didn't believe in the original ShotSpotter back 7 or 8 years ago, and it turned out to be a great tool. And I'm willing to give the chief the benefit of doubt And I know with council oversight, which will monitor this very carefully because folks have legitimate concerns about what it can be used for. But I'm very supportive of it, and I hope the subcommittee votes to approve it. Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson.
Thank you, Lenny. Nico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next speaker is Lucy Candid. Lucy, if I muted you now.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
My name is Dr. Lucy Candib. I'm a family doctor in Worcester, and I have practiced at the Family Health Center of Worcester for over 40 years. And I am a homeowner on the west side of Worcester. I'm concerned about something that really hasn't been elaborated on very much by other people, which is the comfort of the police department with this private company, and the sense that the private company has a lot of trust in how excellent the police department is, and how successful a working relationship they have with the police department. And so there's a mutually affectionate relationship between these two organizations. And that seems to not recognize that there is an enormous distrust of the police department and policing in Worcester by low-income communities and people of color. The Black Families United, actually their highest on their agenda is actually to get the police out of the schools. Police out of the schools. If the community felt that the police were such great examples for the low-income kids and kids in the public high schools, then certainly they would be supportive to this. But in fact, Black children get more punishment and more dismissals, at Black and brown children, than white kids even in the lower schools, the elementary schools. So there's a problem with distrust of the police department in the community, and this is amplified by the fact that there is this long history of failure to implement diversity within the police department, such low numbers, which they blame on the exams, but they also have failed to recognize the police who tried to get promotions and didn't get promotions, and are spending millions of dollars to oppose lawsuits both on promotion of people of color in the police department and on transparency about police misconduct. So all of these things build enormous distrust of the police in the community. People get arrested for non-events, for not breaking the law, and then have to spend days, months, years in court trying to fight it. This does not bode well for us saying that the police is this wonderful organization that the community loves. So I think it's really important not to have that mutual affection between a private company that stands to profit from this and the police department.
Dr. Candid, you're on 3 minutes now.
Okay, so I oppose this, the expense of this program, and feel that we should oppose it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, the next speaker is Maggie Lozier. I've unmuted Maggie.
Yes, hi. My name's Maggie. I'm calling because I'm not convinced that this technology proposed in 3A will improve safety or lower crime. I don't believe it will improve the relationship between the police and citizens, as one caller said. I ask the subcommittee to please not vote to implement ShotSpotter Connect. As many other callers have begged, please instead increase community safety by focusing on our schools and the things that people need. There are so many children and families that don't have food, that are at risk of losing their housing during this pandemic. And I think that that should really be our priority above anything else. Any extra money we might have should go toward those causes. And finally, I just wanted to note that I believe that, I'm one voice in opposition to this, but I represent at least 5 of my Worcester neighbors who I spoke with and who were not able to attend this call. So I think those on this call are representing a much larger group of people who are very concerned about the approach to implementing this program, the way it's being rushed through, and also the program's efficacy. Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie. Nico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next speaker is Marie Brulette.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes,
Hi,
Marie.
Marie.
Hi, my name is Marie Brulette. I'm a Worcester resident. I'm also calling to comment specifically on the Shotspotter Connect program, so I'm not talking about the Flex program we have in place now. I'd really like to underscore the points made by callers who highlighted the inaccuracies in the presentation we saw earlier this evening. I'd just like to remind everyone that that was ultimately a presentation by a company trying to sell us a product, and that shows. First of all, Connect does use police data, and it's been pointed out before that that data is largely and disproportionately representative of BIPOC community members. There was a court case that was regarding location-based predictive policing and its potential threat on Fourth Amendment rights, and a judge on the U.S. Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals emphasized that the product of algorithms is only as good as the information you provided. If you're providing historical crime data to this algorithm that is historically disproportionately directed to these people who are in low-income communities, communities of color, the result that you get from that algorithm will maintain the same biases regardless of intention. I'd also like to point out something that one of the presenters had made herself. She had pointed out that this is extremely new technology when talking to Councilor Rivera, and as a result, we don't know what the consequences will be. They might be small, they may likely be large, and even if we worked on the assumption that this program is indisputably effective at reducing crime, which we don't know, that's not enough of a reason to use our residents as guinea pigs. I've heard a lot of callers today in support of this program say something to the effect of, we're politicizing local politics, we're politicizing things. For people who look like me, for people who are white, those who aren't directly impacted by failures of programs like this, then like, yeah, it might feel like unnecessary politicizing, but it's not. It's a real issue that people have to deal with if we screw up. Like the attorney who called in earlier said, there's no rush on this. We don't need to be someone who adopts a program that's unproven just to be innovative. If it means risking people's safety, it's a real issue. It's not just an issue coming up for argument's sake. It's not just Clark students who are calling in, pointing out issues of predictive policing, as members of the WPD union are reporting. This is a real problem, and I really, really encourage you to not push this forward after trying to hide it in previous agendas and not bringing it forward to community comment and discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Nico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next speaker is Mary McKenzie. Mary, you're unmuted. Mary, can you hear us? Okay, not hearing Mary. We're going to go to Matt Whitlock. Matt, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Hello. My name is Matt Whitlock. I live and vote in Worcester. I am a PhD student at UMass Amherst, and I study ethical issues that arise around the use of machine learning and artificial intelligence. I've looked into the algorithm that Shotspotter uses a little bit. It looks like it's using stochastic gradient boosting machines, and that kind of algorithm is definitely suspect to what is very prominent in the literature right now called proxy discrimination, where it doesn't matter what features are part of your training set, you're still going to see racial discrimination. So I'd like to hear from the ShotSpotter representatives how they're going to address this. And another question that I have for them, given their commitment to transparency, when are we going to see the algorithm put open sourced so that researchers can take a look at it? I looked at the NYU police program. They didn't say anything about racial bias within ShotSpotter Connect. So what I'm seeing is that there are no researchers looking at what ShotSpotter is doing. So in order to be transparent, you need to open that up to researchers and let us see what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Nico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next speaker I can identify is Megan Sherry. Megan, I've unmuted you now.
Hi, I'm here tonight because I was invited by my neighborhood watch officer, Mike Higgins. I didn't realize, I guess I didn't know a lot about this program. It sounded great to me, honestly. and I was wondering if it was being expanded. When I read about it in the newspapers, I felt like it was just about gunshots. So in my experience, I was interested to see if there was, by this expansion, there was, neighborhood availability to talk about drug dealing and other neighborhood problems. So I was in support of it. Maybe I don't understand all of it from listening to many people tonight. And I know that many people can have different opinions. So I guess I am still interested in what this Shotspotter Connect has to offer to the city. And I guess that's all I have to say. I guess I'm still interested to learn more about what this has to say, and I thank my officer in my neighborhood group in inviting me to learn more about this today, because I would not have known all of the ramifications if I had not listened in tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, the next speaker is Michaela Shaw. Michaela, I've unmuted you now. Okay. Michaela, can you hear us? Okay, not hearing Michaela. We're going to go to Nathan Cummings. Nathan, I've unmuted you now.
Hello there. Can you hear me?
Yes, Nathan, go ahead.
Yes.
This is Nathan Cummings, Worcester resident. I called in earlier. I caught the presentation. I thought it was very helpful. However, I kind of object to this program more on a procedural grounds. I don't think it's fiscally responsible to be part of an early adopter program that's unproven. And I especially am disappointed with the manager's attempt to pass it through using the contingency fund money as opposed to the police budget. I thought that was a little underhanded. But I actually wanted to talk about a separate item on the agenda for this meeting as well, which is number 3D. Looking at it, looking back to the history of where this originated, and the request was actually to provide an update to the crime reports using the information that was provided to the Human Rights Commission.
Nathan, we're not on this this item right now, so we may have to. We have another meeting set up. We may have to hold this until the next meeting, depending upon how much time people have for calling in on 3A. I thank you. I thank you. Nico?
Madam Chair, the next speaker I can identify is Nathan Skylark. I've unmuted Nathan now.
Hi, my name is Nathan Skylark. Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Nathan.
Okay. I'm a homeowner in the city. I also work in the city. I guess I'm calling in because I oppose implementing this new system. Most of what I have to say has already been said by other people. It's an inappropriate use of funds for an already overbloated police budget. It's not the way to prevent crime. You know, if you stop a crime in Great Brook Valley by sending police officers there and then it shows up in Brook Street, that isn't a crime you prevented, you just relocated it. And there are much better proven methods of preventing crime than policing. Things like after-school programs and helping people who are poor. You know, the most common cause of crime isn't that someone's just out to do crime, it's that they can't find bread or they're a kid who's bored after school. I noticed that there's a lot of euphemisms going around in this meeting tonight. My favorite one that I heard was community stakeholders, which obviously just means white property owners. You know, how are you going to use community stakeholders and exclude people who rent property in the poorer neighborhoods of the community? So I just thought that was something that was messed up that I should point out. If you really want to have the results of this predictive policing system, I can save you a lot of money because I can Google a map of the ethnic makeup of the city, and you can just put the police in the black and brown areas, because that's what this program is going to end up doing. And I just wanted to point out that the pandemic is still raging, and the federal moratorium on evictions is about to end. we are going to have a lot more problems in our city, which the contingency fund would be much better suited to looking into than just increasing policing or spending it on an unproven technology. And if Worcester Police really wants to increase their relationship with the community, maybe they should start by doing things like releasing all those people they arrested off their front lawns over the summer when there was that Black Lives Matter protest.
Can we stay on subject, please?
That's it. Bye.
Okay, thank you. I just want to ask people if we could stay on subject. We're talking about Shotspotter Connect, not Shotspotter. Shotspotter has been expanded to include more mileage through the city. And we're talking about this complimentary program. So if we could move forward to the next caller. Rico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next caller is Peggy W. Unmuted Peggy. Peggy, go ahead. Peggy, can you hear us? Okay, not hearing from Peggy. We're going to move on. We have a Sam DeProdre. Sam,
hello. I'm Samuel Capraday. I am an educator with a university in Worcester. There was a question from a PhD student earlier about the bias inherent in the algorithms Shotspotter used. There was a request for a response from the representative, but it was never given. Were you going to address that question?
So there are a number of questions that I think going to be asking for a written response from the organization at the end of the meeting, so that we have those.
Glad to hear it. You are being misled by this presentation. It is deliberately misleading. Speakers have mentioned they misrepresented the endorsement from the NYU policing project. Homicide in one of their cities has gone up 120%. They rely on emotionally loaded language. It all indicates they cannot be trusted. The use of misleading terms like dosage or crime event indicates that they know they have to hide the truth of their efficiency or efficacy behind Star Trek-style technobabble. For the love of God, don't be a rube. Do not fall for this pathetic scam. It only works on people whose worldviews have been so addled by media that they cannot differentiate fact from fantasy. It is hogwash nonsense. These companies are run by scammers who know their products don't work. If it was important enough, the police would pay for it out of their own budgets, but they're not. Defund the police, Black Lives Matter. Be smart about this, Worcester.
Thank you, Sam. Next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next speaker is Sheila Brenner. Unmuted, Sheila.
Hi, my name is Sheila Brenner. I live in own a home in Worcester, Massachusetts. We've only lived here for 6 years, so I'm still getting acclimated to how city government works. I watched the city council meeting and read the letter from the city manager who said this program had already been approved, and I want to thank the councilors who questioned a rubber stamping this program. I also want to thank the people who did all the research, because when I tried to look up information about Shotspotter Connect, all I got were ads by Shotspotter. They have a great marketing department, as other callers have said. The letter that was forwarded to me from a neighborhood organization might have been written by the same PR company. As previous callers have said, I know a sale when a sham when I hear it. This is so much money when the priorities should never be on this kind of electronic programming. As previous callers have said, the people who live in this city, the Black and brown people, should be heard. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's not cost effective. And I beg you, please, to talk to the people who will be affected by this. Nobody is being fooled by the marketing, believe me. And there are people planning to run for council who listen to the people, and I urge all of you to keep that in mind when you make this decision. Get more information. Don't rubber stamp it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Nico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next speaker I can identify is Stephen.
That's not, you guys aren't fucking.
Thank you, so we'll skip Stephen. The next one is Tim Jones. Tim,
hi, can you hear me?
Go ahead, Tim.
Hi, Tim.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Tim Jones. I live in Boughton, Worcester, District 1. Thank you for your time. I have formal education in computational physics, so I want to speak on how a system like Shotspotter Connect works, especially since the presentation was vague, emotion-based, and let's not forget for profit. Neural networks are trained to find specific things. If you want your AI to know what an apple looks like, you need to show it hundreds, if not thousands, of pictures of apples and things that aren't apples. It now has the ability to recognize what an apple is. But now, say you want it to recognize a pear. It can't. It doesn't know what that is. So we'll look at a pear and either say apple or no apple. So it's useless in the case of trying to find a pear. Modern AI are essentially specialized 4-year-olds. Now, let's say we feed crime-linked data from 5 years into an AI. It now knows where crime has taken place. If you ask it where crime will taken place, it can't know that. Computers aren't magic counselors. It's only going to show you where crime has taken place before. This will only reinforce police presence where it already exists. So if a neighborhood's crime rate has changed from data, i.e. it is now a pear, that doesn't matter. Shotspotter will still consider that neighborhood to be the same, still see it as an apple. I have seen the biased policing of Worcester Police Department with my own eyes. Shotspotter Connect will only exacerbate that. The ACLU, MIT Technology Review, and other research have concluded that predictive policing is ineffective and biased toward low-income communities and communities of color. Anyone with knowledge of how artificial intelligence works should understand that using a system like this won't result in any change. Does this committee care about what experts say? Does this committee wish to think critically? Or is the argument here simply a buy-in to a vague, emotion-based business pitch frosted with lies? ShotSpotter does not care if they are effective. They are a business that wants this city's money. Also, has everyone forgotten that the DCU Center is a hospital? That we need to use a separate facility to help people in a pandemic? Has everyone forgotten? If the city moves forward with ShotSpotter Connect, it will have shown those educated and knowledgeable about computing and AI that the city of Worcester doesn't understand how these things work. The city instead will show that they like the headlines and optics for those who don't know better. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Tim.
Nico?
Madam Chair, the next speaker I can identify is VV. If you're VV, can you say your name and city of residence?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Vicki Grzinski. I live and work in Worcester, Massachusetts. I'm also calling in reference to agenda item 3A. I am adding my voice to the list of voices who are in opposition to this program. I really agree with everything that everyone has said. Things that stood out to me just based on my work and my knowledge. I do research for a living. There is no such thing as unbiased data. So, one of the things that people have said over and over again, is essentially garbage in, garbage out. This is really expensive, and it also should not be coming from the contingency funds. As everyone has pointed out, we are still in a pandemic with death tolls rising. I think this money from the contingency fund could be spent in a lot of other better places. The Worcester Police Department already has over 30% of the budget for our city. I also don't think it's wise for us to be a pilot program. I think there are other cases where maybe it would be fun or cool for Worcester to be the first city to try this out, but not when lives are at stake, and especially not when Black and brown lives are at stake. So I definitely would like to reiterate that City Council should not approve this expenditure for the city and put money into other areas of our city that will help prevent crime. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next speaker is Winifred Octave. Winnie, I've unmuted you now.
Yeah, good afternoon. It's about time. Mr. Clerk, members of the City Council, Police Department, and Madam Chair. My name is Winifred Octave, and I'm the co-founder of the Lincoln Street, the Green Hill Neighborhood Association on Lincoln Street. And I just want to make a statement. A few years ago, we came together in 2013 because of people were worried and they were scared in my neighborhood because of an uptick in crime. There were murders and there were a whole lot of stuff. So we came together and we formed the Green Hill Neighborhood Association. Recently, we have been having a lot of gunshots. The week before Christmas, in one night on Lincoln Street, we had 3 sets of gunshots on Lincoln Street. One was right by my home. The other one was up Lincoln Street and on Payne Street. Now, the spot shot, if it's going to make police identify where the shots are coming from, I think it's a damn good thing. You understand? We need to identify the criminals. We need to take them out of commission. I don't care if they're black, white, or whatever. Now, I'm offended by all of those set of white people that keep talking on behalf of black people. I'm a black woman. All they're talking about, like, we're so pitiful, we're so poor, we're so everything. Let me tell you all something. They are strong, resilient black people working every day. You understand? We all are not the lowest of the low. So stop using your agenda to play that you're talking on our behalf. I know all of you all have your own agenda. Stop using black people. You understand? And crime is crime. Whether you black, white, or who, if you commit a crime, you need to be taken out of commission. And we need to do something about the guns that are in the neighborhoods. Too many guns. Let me tell you, if the spot shutter will make my neighborhood and myself sleep better at night, we need it. So stop using people. Stop making black people as victims. You understand? We are nobody's victim. There are white criminals, there are black criminals, there are all kinds of criminals. Stop using us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Winnie. Nico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next speaker is Yenny DeRocher.
Hi, I'm Yenny DeRoche. I'm in District 5 in Worcester. A lot of what I've had to say, it's been enumerated by a lot of other callers, but as many have pointed out, effectiveness of artificial intelligence in policing depends on the data that's loaded into it and programming that has been done on it. And right now, the program being a pilot means that it hasn't been proven as a technology yet, and we don't need to be a guinea pig. Artificial intelligence use is not something to be taken lightly, regardless of the department that it is being used in. And as previous callers have mentioned, and as a former game developer, artificial intelligence is an unregulated sector that is a potentially slippery slope and is as fallible as the people programming them. In this time of the COVID pandemic and taking into account the Black Lives Matter movement, the trust that the city council and the police have had with the community has been eroded. And by spending $150,000 from the contingency fund will further divide the city council and police department from the community. The contingency fund should not be used to expand police tools at a time when the funds would be far better used supporting the community through this pandemic. The City Council is being pushed to adopt a new system that's untested and in an unacceptably short time frame, hinging on the timeline given for the discount. This is especially problematic since this system is a Band-Aid and not a treatment. Instead, we should utilize the contingency fund to further add to the efforts to help those who are hurting the most in the pandemic with food insecurity and housing problems. Also, there was a caller earlier that was looking for their neighborhood association. The response that it's listed on the website is not sufficient. A majority, if not all of them listed, do not have any contact information as to how to join or attend the meetings or calls. I've looked for information on other neighborhood associations in District 5, and even Officer Michael Higgins for the Newton Square neighborhood association that I'm part of was not able to provide that information for me from many of the groups. So to consider that these neighborhood groups are a voice of the communities that they are in, they need to be open and accessible and easy to find. They shouldn't be this closed group that they have become by just nature of being unable to find them. That's it.
Thank you. Nico?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we've gone through all the call-in users via electronic device. I'm going to make one more attempt to unmute some of the call-in users that we weren't able to identify earlier, and then I think that should wrap up the folks that are here for participation. So I'm going to mute a few call-in users that you weren't able to hear from earlier. If you're on the phone, if you can state your name and city of residence, and I can try to identify you.
Hello?
We heard a hello. Go ahead. Hello, go ahead.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, what is your name?
My name is Nellie Medina. I live in the Columbus Park area. I've been a resident of Worcester most of my life. This new Shotspotter Connect is really disturbing to me, especially because of the lack of information that the community has about the technology. This is not the first time over the last few years that the city is making decisions without consulting the people that will be directly affected by the decisions being made. We in this community don't know anything about this technology. We didn't even know it was going to be voted on. We need a better way to communicate with the people who live in these communities that are supposedly the most at risk. I appreciate all the callers and all our allies who did call in support of us. I think that the people who are in support because they don't understand how this is going to be another tool to subject our children who are already vulnerable to being arrested or to being searched. This is not a technology that we should be spending the contingency funds on. There's people that are hungry. There's people that are losing their rent and their shelter. People who don't have light in their, as soon as the moratorium goes off, they're going to have no light. There's moms without diapers. You know, look into the community and take care of the people that need it most instead of spending money that we don't have on tools and toys for the police department that are just going to add to the despair that we're feeling. Thank you.
Thank you. Nico?
Madam Chair, I've unmuted the rest of the calling users. If they can state their name and city of residence. Anyone on the phone, if you can state your name and city of residence.
Hello?
We heard a hello?
Yes.
What is
Vinny
what
from
is
Worcester.
your name?
Vinny from Worcester.
Okay, Vinny, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to thank the chief of the Worcester Police Department for everything he's done for this community. And to hear the vulgar, why do they want to make it about color? I'm sure the chief knows exactly what he's doing. Let him run with it. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Vinny. Nico, do we have many more? We started this meeting at 5 o'clock. So I think.
Madam Chair, I think that was the last of the calling users that
okay.
they will identify.
Okay. There were a number of questions that were presented. I'm going to do a chairman's order request that the administration, along with Shotspotter Connect, provide answers to those questions in the form of a report to the council. We have a roll call on that, please.
Yes, Madam Chair. Councilor Colorio.
Yes.
Councilor Rivera.
Yes.
And Madam Chair Toomey.
Yes. This information, this particular information was a informational communication relative to the expansion and the capabilities of the Shotspotter Connect program. It's come before this committee. We wanted to have it explained. We've also done a chairman's order requesting that that Shotspotter be presented to a number of other neighborhood organizations that were identified. And also would recommend that perhaps we do a citywide citywide Crime Watch presentation that's also publicized. This type of a program during that time, so that we could get it back within the next 3 weeks. I'm willing to make a motion to approve this report and send that approval back to the committee. All those in favor?
So, Madam Chair, for the point of clarification, you're recommending approval that the City Council hereby supports the Worcester Police Department adoption of the Shotspotter Connect program?
Correct.
Okay. Would you like a roll call?
Roll call, please.
Councilor
Sorry,
Colorio?
can I, just for clarification, prior to voting, is there any way to hold this until there's further communication? I don't feel comfortable voting yes right now, just because I think there needs to be further communication before having
Sure,
it approved here.
Counselor, you could hold it tomorrow. Or, if you want, you can hold it. I mean, we're basically accepting the report. I can rephrase this and accept the report as opposed to recommend approval, but,
if it's just about the report,
I don't want to hold it in committee. I don't want to hold this in committee any longer, is what I'm trying to say. So we can do this in council.
Yes, is there any way to just approve the report and not so much that it's, the way that it sounds like it's being approved?
Sure, so
Thank you,
I can approve this informational communication. So I'm making the motion to approve the informational communication that we presented to the committee.
Councilor Colorio?
Yes.
Councilor Rivera?
Yes.
And Madam Chair, Toomey?
Yes. So again, what we've done is we've made that report, approved the report, and we're going to have further meetings with the organizations that Councilor Rivera had mentioned.